This is Marcus Hollinger, and this is the 116 Live Show on Holy Culture Radio, SiriusXM Channel 154. Welcome to another week, another entry, another page in this book that we are writing or broadcasting called the 116 Life. My name is Marcus. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm here with my good friend
Ace Harris.
And this is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, SiriusXM Channel 154. Today is a day. It's Friday.
It's a good day.
That paycheck hit.
Oof.
And we in the studio with Mykael.
Talk to him nicely.
We in the studio with Mr. Talk to Me Nice, the Bodega boy,
out here.
Mykael V.
Man, thank you for having me, bro. Thank you, audience. Appreciate
Sup?
you.
Yeah.
God always in the building.
Man. Nah, I appreciate being here, bro. I'll be watching these on social media, and I'll be like, man, this is so fire, bro. Like,
yeah.
I love stuff like this in our space because I feel like we rarely get to see outside of like the big people, like very personal, like conversational things. So I really do appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Just doing this in general. It's fire. It's super.
Nah,
fire.
Thank you.
And I feel like, I feel like we see you as a statesman, an ambassador. So when you say like the big people, I'm like, I feel like you are carving out your own thing, bro. So you've established yourself as like an advocate for Christian hip hop, for the scene, the space. So just feel that. I'm saying encouragement and just know that you're doing your thing out here, bro.
Dang, bro.
Absolutely.
Really
So speaking of you doing your thing, for those who listen to this show and may not know who you are, Mykael, why don't you give an introduction to our listeners here at the 116 Live?
Dope. So my name is DJ Mykael V. I am a DJ, a curator, A&R, and mainly a DJ for artists such as Lecrae, No Big Deal, Indie Tribe, Do Perfect, and things like that. And I also love to create and kind of help facilitate music. That's like my thing, and I just love being a culture embracer and a culture like enthusiast. So anything, and bro, anything hip hop, bro, I'm like,
I love it.
I'm zoned in, bro. I love it.
Yeah,
like,
I love it. And we're gonna dive in more on that. I think there's whenever we're together, Mykael, I feel like we're always having such rich conversations about hip hop. And funny enough, it was actually one of our conversations that led to this show.
Yeah.
When we did the summer You Are the Movement.
Oh yeah.
Content. Shout out to Trig, James Russell, our producer, our CEO,
shout out
our
Holy
boss
Culture.
over at Holy Culture. He saw that content and reached out and said, "Hey, I love what y'all are doing," and that kind of led to the show.
Bro,
so
fire.
You're very much a part of what we're doing here.
Man,
but Mykael, I wanna tap in on this you as an artist and an A&R, DJ and things like that. You also recently put out this project, Bodega.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us about what it's like to wear so many hats as a Christian artist, cultural enthusiast, hip hop cat.
It's dope, and then it's also very pensive. And what I mean by pensive is as I grow, as I get older, and I try to become more wise. I'm always very more concerned about listeners and what I present and stuff like that. Because I could love hip hop and I can love all these things, but first and foremost, I'm a follower of Christ.
Okay.
So I'm trying to balance like being cool, being lit, like really like hunkering down with the culture, but also like navigating it in a way where it doesn't kind of like I don't want to say affect, but kind of make my testimony or make the testimony of Christians look like, are you in? Are you out? Are you kind of in the middle? I want to be like, nah, I'm in, but I'm very focused on high quality things, culture, music, aesthetic, stuff like that. Like, I put time into those things, and I like those things, and I'm also a Christian. Because I think, which kind of sucks, is that a lot of stuff, anything labeled Christian, automatically to people that aren't in our space, gets deemed either kind of like Bush League or like, it's okay, it's cool, but it's missing some things. And I'm like, nah, I really do like to focus on these things. But it's pensive for me, bro, because dropping the kind of project we dropped in this space hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
On top of that, it's like, no offense to anybody in the chat, but CHH fans aren't usually hip hop fans.
Okay.
They're CHH fans.
Dang,
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Talk some more. Okay.
There's so much in
and
what
it's
you
okay.
said.
It's okay to if your response needs to make people
No caveats.
uncomfortable.
No
yeah,
caveats. No caveats.
yeah.
Okay, no.
Just-
Can you unpack this for it a bit, Mykael?
Yeah, shoot straight.
What do you mean when you say that there's a difference between somebody who's a CHH fan
Yeah.
and somebody who's a hip hop fan?
Okay, so with CHH fans, and again, I'm not
Nah,
trying to. Yeah,
nah.
I'm not. You know,
Give us the
but,
New York.
No
version.
filters.
But yeah. But, so with CHH fans, a lot of them either 75 to 80% of them grew up homeschooled or raised a certain way to listen to people like Lecrae, people and like people like you know what I'm saying, KB, Tripley, Tadashi, all these people, and it's not a bad thing, but their introduction to hip hop was through them, and there's no context of what came before or what's coming or what happened even during when Lecrae and them were first coming up. It's just like very tunnel vision, CHH, like that's all it is. But with hip hop, it's like a hip hop fan is like, oh, I like these flows. I like the way this sounds. I like the way that sounds. I love the production. I love these word flips. I love these samples.
Right.
And I'm not saying that CHH fans don't notice those things, but there's a very distinct difference between a hip hop fan when they can tell bars and stuff like that. And then a good example would be like CHH fans back in like 2013, 2014, 2015 loved the triplets rapping fast thing. And they were like, oh my God. And nobody was really saying nothing though. But when the people, but when people do it in hip hop, and like the hip hop fan hears it, and they hear the actual flips, and oh, the cadence of this is crazy. Like it becomes more of a richer appreciation for technical ability and also for hearing bars and stuff like that than a CHH fan who kind of just, oh, this is a dope beat, and he said Jesus, and he made some cultural references that are current. This is fire. This is very different. It's very different.
Yeah, I think what I hear you saying is entry point matters.
Yes.
The entry point that someone has into something will influence their appreciation, their knowledge of, and their relationship to it. So
That's beautiful.
That was well said, bro.
And I would love to follow up on that, Mykael, and ask you, for someone who may be hearing this to say, oh, fine, well, there's a difference. One may be thinking, well, what does it matter?
Well, I think it matters because I think hip hop is such a unique and amazing culture that is so young and has done so much in so little time and is continuing to develop that I would love to engulf myself with things that like kind of made these things happen. Like, for example, like with the new Metro Boomin album, like The Weeknd did the I don't wanna know.
Right.
And people that were born in like 2006, 2008 know nothing about the actual version. They're like, oh, this sounds dope. And it's like people like us are like, but have you heard the original? Like, this is why it's even more dope. And then I think going back and learning, and even if your entry point is CHH, going back and being like, dang, what came from this? How did this develop? I think you can find so much rich appreciation for things. Because I talk about this with 350 and like RG a lot. Is I wasn't raised Christian. I wasn't raised like in the church and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So my entry level with hip hop was, bro, Wu-Tang, like Old Dirty, Method, you know what I'm saying, DMX, all these things. That's how I came into hip hop.
Gotcha.
Being in New York, that's all I heard. And I was never raised, I never knew who Lecrae was till I was like, I think like 15. You know what I'm saying? So that my entry point was like regular hip hop. And then when I came in and I found these people like Lecrae and Andy and all these people that people like were like, hey, if you like this, you'll love this. My appreciation for them, like Andy and Lecrae, became even greater because I feel like being a Christian artist takes more ability than being a regular artist.
Say more.
Say
more about that.
Because we have to worry about what we talk about. We have to worry about and be intentional of the words we say and the words we use. And we also have to be extremely like just cautious, like in the sense of, dang, does this make sense if I say this? Like, am I real? Like, does this make any sense if I say this? Like, for example, like when the Migos first came out, Versace, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's fire, and that's a stamped moment in hip hop because it flipped hip hop on its head. But in that time, it's like Versace, Medusa had on me. What? I don't. That's not saying anything crazy. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody was like, oh well, coming in hot could be the same thing. What does that mean? And it's like, but if you listen to what Cray and Andy are saying on that record, there's a lot of intention behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of like wisdom and stuff like that. I feel like with regular hip hop, outside of certain artists, is very much like, I'm here for the vibes, and I'm gonna just say stuff that sounds cool and not really care about the repercussions or what it portrays or what it affirms or what it denies.
Yeah.
Dang, that was, I don't even know what to, it's so much I want to unpack there. I mean.
Yeah, I feel, it kind of sounds to me, what I hear you saying is, in my head, it's almost like there's this Venn diagram, right? Where you have hip hop culture for what it is, and then you have sort of Christianity for what it is, and there's this in the middle is this thing, Christian hip hop.
Yep.
And depending on where you come from and what your entry point is, you're going to potentially appreciate more, understand the dynamics, value what it is. But if if your perspective is a little bit limited, then maybe there's some that you just might not be.
Of course, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, people come in and their entry point is always different.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your entry point? So you said you kind of got introduced to Christian hip hop around 15.
Yeah, like 15, 16 years old.
Maybe you can just talk a little bit about your entry point into hip hop growing up and how that gives you like a certain advantage. Because I feel like what you do and what you create as you curate, I mean, this may sound offensive to some, but it's clear to me you didn't grow up exclusively on Christian hip hop.
Yeah, 100%.
What makes you talking about Bodega?
Yeah.
What makes it clear that he didn't grow up on Christian hip hop?
Because there's a certain rawness in the sound and the delivery and the aesthetic that is so cut from hip hop, maybe so cut from New York too, that just screams, this is not birthing Christian culture. Like this came outside of that Venn diagram you talked about. So, and I see even to be honest, Mykael's bravado, his whole aura doesn't seem like someone who like grew up exclusively in the church.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I just I think it adds value.
I think it's a good thing.
It's interesting because sometimes when this conversation comes out, and not to say that anyone, it's just a dynamic that I see sometimes where it feels like there can almost be these camps, right? You have people who are like, yo, my brand is very much built on this idea that I love Jesus. I'm for real about Jesus, and those guys over there
100%.
are not. So
100%.
I'm like, I'm the alternative to them. Yeah. But then you hear
that was big when I was coming up, like 15, 16. That was like that notion was humongous.
Really.
And not to say one thing or the other about it, but that it is. But then I think on the other side, there can sometimes be this energy of like, well, my distinction is I'm in this space, but I ain't really like.
Yeah, like kind of like a disassociative.
Yeah, like a disassociative thing, or sometimes it's a badge of honor to not. And I this is just the conversation brings it out, but it's like it's a badge of honor to not have like, oh no, I come from mainstream.
Yeah.
Or like, nah, I come from.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
come from.
I don't come from this.
I don't come from this, but it's like, but you here though, ain't you?
Facts.
Like,
he's trying to talk that talk.
So
man.
it's just, I think, but as a Christian, someone who self-identifies, I didn't so much grow up in the church either. I love this space. It's just something that I see a whole lot where it's like, what? That's a thread that sometimes goes underneath.
I see that a lot as well. To this day, even with like a lot of new artists as well, it's very like, I'm hardcore Christian, and then there's other people that are like, I'm Christian, but I'm dope. Like, so don't lump me into that.
Yeah.
But I think personally, where I sit and where I feel like me and 95 put Bodega was like, I don't care what you call this, as long as you call it dope. Because my thing is, to this day, I never did, I never will. I'll never get caught up in the label of am I Christian enough? Is this CHH enough? Am I not do it, or is it not is it not enough, or is it enough? And I'm like, I don't care about any of that. What I really care about is, number one, being faithful to what God has called me. God called me to do this, and if I really believe that, then I'm trying to be faithful. This is like a faithful thing, not a hobby. This is like, I'm just trying to be faithful to what God called me. And then on top of that, on top of being faithful, I don't care about the label. Like the content, if you really listen, the content will tell you where my heart and what is going on. I don't need to keep being like, yo, this is Christian. Oh, this is da-da-da. This is da-da-da. And it's like, if anybody ever has a question of like, where do your loyalties lie on the side of, is this super Christian or is this halfway in, halfway out, like mainstream indie, but like you are Christian? I'm like, don't matter. You put it, like, to any listener, you put it where you want. As long as you know that we put our heart and soul into it, God did call us to it, and the content will lead it. Like, any question you have, the content will answer that question.
Yeah.
And if you have a question, is this guy even Christian? Like, if my life don't tell you, which I hope it does, listen to the content, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
said-
I love that.
He said, "Put it anywhere. Just
I
don't
love
put it in
that.
the trash."
Yeah, put it anywhere, but not in the trash. I love
Yeah.
that, and I want to come back to that. There's so much said. We're gonna take a quick break here. A word from a couple of our sponsors. Again, my name is Marcus. I'm here with my good friend
Ace Harris.
This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM channel
5.
4. We're sitting in with DJ Mykael V. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the 116 Life. My name is Marcus. I'm joined by my good friend
Ace Harris.
This is the 116 Live on Sirius XM channel 154 Holy Culture Radio. We're joined in studio by DJ Mykael V. And if you're just tuning in, earlier we were talking about his very pensive existence
yeah.
as a DJ, an A&R, a producer, an artist, a Christian, someone who loves hip hop. And Mykael, before we took our break, you were talking about the notion that the need that people sometimes have to label things, and you left off saying, like, man, I don't care what you call it, so long as you call it dope.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about that from the reverse side, particularly on your latest project, Bodega.
For sure.
How did that go into, bring us into the moment of inception for Bodega?
Got you.
And how you went about, maybe bring us into the kitchen, into the Bodega.
I'm gonna tell you,
if
man.
you will.
It's actually kind of crazy because, so one of my best friends got married, Ricky. Ricky got married, and he lives in Philly. So I went to Philly, for like a week because I was one of the best men. So I had to do all that stuff, and then I stayed a couple days after. To kind of just chill, because I think I was coming off the road, and I was like, let me just stay in Philly, because I went to high school in Jersey, so Philly was 30 minutes away from where I was at.
Gotcha.
So I was like, I would kind of feel like being home a little bit. And I was staying with my boy Abel. He's also on the Project Bodega, and we were just listening to like Griselda and like West Side Gun and all, like just some old J. Cole, all these people in the car, and I'm like, and me and him were just having conversation, and I was like, man, I wish that there was stuff like this in CHH. And he's like, yeah, there is. And he like named certain people, but I'm like, but it don't feel like that. Like, it doesn't, what we're listening to, it don't feel like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a certain grittiness and a feeling that, and I don't mean to be offensive, that it doesn't sound fabricated. It just sounds natural. Like a natural grittiness. Like a natural, like,
I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
What is and again, maybe you and I, because we all listen to, these ears have thousands of listening miles on them.
Yeah.
But perhaps for someone who doesn't,
Yeah.
maybe could you unpack, what does that mean that it sounds natural versus fabricated?
Okay, so I feel like there are artists in our space that do boom bap or do East Coast rap, and the emphasis is, I'm gonna try to sound hard, like I'm gonna make my voice raspy, like I'm gonna, what I'm saying, like I'm gonna be very punchy with my lyrics, but it's like, it feels, and it might not even, they might be real, but how I'm receiving it and how it's being received is, you're trying very hard to sound East Coast. Even though you're from the East Coast, whatever, it doesn't feel like it comes Like, yo, like on and off the mic,
I feel you.
this is how I sound. This is what it is. This is like my vibe. When it comes to like Griselda and them, and I see all the interviews, I'm like, there's no difference in them as people on the mic or off the mic in the sense of rapping skill wise and just tone and all this. I'm like, oh, this sounds very like this is you, and this is raw, uncut you on a record. That's why I like it.
I feel like being from Atlanta, I've said this before, I can kind of relate to what you see, which is not to pivot it to Atlanta because Atlanta got the sauce right now. But shout out to New York
for the last 15
no,
years.
we're gonna bring it back to the Bodega.
Years,
but I think what you're trying to say is like sometimes I hear certain trap music in like Christian hip hop that sounds like the attempted version of what trap is. But when you hear like a Big Breeze, a 1K Few, you hear oh, okay. You hear you hear a certain authenticity that you can't fabricate. That's the word. Sounds natural. So yeah,
that's
I mean,
the word, authenticity.
I feel what you're saying, man, for sure.
Like, yeah, okay, cause I don't want to get lost, but like it's like listening
it's very important because it again, we want these conversations to feel like people can say, okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Give me something to walk away with. So I definitely appreciate you. You know, it's the thing. It's like what's understood ain't got to be explained.
Exactly.
But on some level, if we could win people over, right? We care about our listeners, so if we could win somebody by explaining a little bit more, then maybe that's a win. So let's go back into the project. So then with Bodega, where do you feel, or what were some of the moments that made it feel like, yo, we're putting the authenticity into this thing? We're breaking ground. We're doing our thing.
I think one thing that really helped is that me and 95 grew up the same. Like he was in it, so he grew. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. He was born in North Jersey.
I didn't know he was from
Jersey City. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So he was like literally right across the bridge.
Where Brooklyn at?
Yeah,
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
Hey, yo, it's a moment right now. I just want to have y'all like run that back. No, okay. Actually, I
somebody's gonna
really,
clip this and it's gonna be like a meme or something.
Please, somebody tuning in, please.
Yeah. So,
but what's it called? I think our connection like that really helped.
Yeah.
Because we had a very, like, me and him saw eye to eye mostly on everything. Like 98% of stuff we were like, oh yeah, yep. And I think the grittiness really came from, yo, how can we? And the crazy thing is that while I was working on it, I had to do the summer 22 playlist, and I showed Ace and them like the very like Ace and Dre and I forgot the young lady's name, Alex, like the very, very like scratchy beginnings of what Bodega was, and Ace was like, bro, I really like this. Like, I like this. It feels like I'm there, and that's what I wanted. I think what me and 95 wanted to do was bring people that are whatever, homeschooled, grew up Christian, didn't grow up Christian, whatever, or grew up in the South, grew up in LA. What we wanted to do was encapsulate the East Coast experience and how we grew up, and allow people to feel welcomed into it. So what we wrote down on the vision board was like a quote is, we want Bodega to feel like, for people who are from the East Coast, like we wanted to feel like an embracing hug and an affirmation for people that are from where we're from. And we also wanted it to feel like a door open and a welcome mat for people who are not from that. Yes. We didn't want to be like, yo, this is only for the hip hopper. No, we was like, yo, this is for everybody, and we want to be for everybody. And if you haven't listened to this before, we want to bring you into it and show you why this is dope, and show you the elements of what this is. For example, so I think on Tyson, which is Caleb Mitchell and John Keefe, it's like one of my favorite joints. With this we sampled "Beware" by Big Pun. On there, but it's a reverse, like like the joint that goes dun, dun, I gave you fair warning, beware. Like we just reversed it and we put it in the song, and it was, bro, it's like just little stuff like that. Like just like kind of like little hat tips, like, all right, yo, like we really trying to like
hat tips, I feel
stuff like that.
Yeah, to sample Big Pun in the year 2023 of our Lord. That's very.
You're showing your age here, kid.
Yes.
I mean, but I think you also mentioned like 1995, who's like basically the producer of the project and the co-artist on the project. Shout out all the producers.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean, speak to like the production, because I mean, talk about feel and everything I've said about the project, which I said earlier. It just sounds like someone who authentically came from that. Like, speak to like the production and the sound of it that y'all put together, man.
95 is a literal GOAT. We're the same age, but he's been in this for a minute. So he first came in when he was doing Dream Junkies. So he produced Good Religion by Dream Junkies, which is like a top 5 CHH album all time. I'm not arguing with nobody. Like, he's been a part of so many great things, like Big Beliefs, Red Pills and Black Sugar. Like, he's been a part of iconic albums. Like, he produced almost the majority of John Gibbs' first album. Not the first one, Soul Rebel.
Soul Rebel.
Yeah.
He's been a part of major things in this space, but I feel like he never got the real recognition I felt like he deserved, because he's young and he was 20 and he did Soul Rebel at 20 years old. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nuts.
That's crazy.
But like, people didn't know. People, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a very, like, naturally, he's like Alchemist. He's a very like laid back, quiet dude. Don't like to be out there. Don't like taking pictures. Don't want to be in the forefront. He's very much comfortable with being in the background.
Fire.
But the thing is with him is that when I came to him, it was originally going to be for like a track, and I was like, yo, what do you think about doing a project together? He was like, bro, I'm glad you asked me, because I would be mad if you didn't, because I don't feel like anybody could really capture that grittiness that you're talking about the way that I can. Because he's from it. He's like, bro, like,
yeah.
Because I think you can hear it with his drums. His drums and the
were just
kicks
talking about the
are
drums.
so gritty, bro. They punch, and I'm like, I don't hear that often, but they're very like, it's like it feels like a basketball player finally going to the team that they grew up watching. Like, if who can I give an example of?
Derrick Rose.
It's like Derrick Rose growing up in Chicago, playing in Chicago in high school, coming back to play for the Bulls and winning MVP. It's like, I was born and bred here. I'm gonna put on, and that's what it felt like for him.
Yeah,
he's like,
okay.
oh nah, like this is my thing.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I do.
He's like, I'm a great producer, but this is like, I can do this.
That's such a beautiful statement.
Yeah, it speaks to this conversation we were having before we had come in this morning, of the value of doing your thing, right?
Right. Yes.
Say more about that.
No,
Ace.
it's like I mean, I saw you and I was listening to the project, and I'm like, look, it's one thing to put on our like music business hat. You know, we run a business. We're here to sell records. We're here to endear fans, and all that is important. And through that art and commerce tension, you may at times lean too far to either or. But there is a lot of value in someone just focusing on what they do well.
Yeah.
And really doing it, like going super deep in what they do well, pursuing that, and not paying too much attention to the left or the right.
Yeah.
And trusting in that. And I hope that the business or the accolades or whatever would follow that over time.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think that's what you're doing, because you have been doing DJ Mykael V in different expressions before. I don't want to.
I think I finally found my identity.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I
Say
think
more
I
about
finally
that.
found
Say,
my
what
identity
do you
in
mean
that.
when you say that?
I feel like for the longest I've made considerably dope music and music that, you know, like, oh, this is dope, I like this, but I always felt like I was chasing the current sound and not trying to be innovative. I was more so like, let me stay current, let me do the current things that work. And it never felt like I was being innovative in the sound of what I was trying to do and make it synonymous with me. So with Bodega, I'm like, nobody's doing boom bap like that. That's not a current thing. And if I'm being real, not even like hip hop in general, I've never felt more uninspired recently than with a lot of music. Like in hip hop, like even with like there's dope music, like there's like even Drake's new joint with 21 Savage. I'm like, oh, it's a cool album. I'm tired of this though. Like in the sense of like the same 808s, the same drum rolls, the same kicks, the same snares, the same like talking about the same thing. I'm kind of tired of that. And I was like, people like Griselda and people like Action Bronson, they're not mainstream. They're famous, and people, if you know, you know.
No.
But they're not like Drake, 21, J. Cole. They're not like those people. So it's like a lot of people don't know that sound, like a Earl Sweatshirt. Those things aren't like super duper popular.
Sure.
So I'm like, nobody does that at CHH either. So I'm like, I want to lean into this because I love this. Like I love this sound, and it's like I don't feel like I'm acting. I feel like I'm comfortable, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this is me. Like I listen to it, I love it, appreciate it, and I would love to do it and contribute to the existing narrative of what boom bap is and what New York and East Coast rap is. So I was like, bro, let's get it. Like I didn't look at it as like we're gonna do dope CHH boom bap. I'm like, no, we're gonna add period to this narrative that this sound will forever be like utilized. I don't ever think that boom bap will ever go out of style.
And a Christian artist, curator, taking boom bap with this sound on their backs and giving it and serving it its just due is pretty phenomenal.
Man,
I feel like you could
appreciate
play
that.
Bodega into any like well-respected hip-hop festival, DJ, Alchemist, wherever.
100%.
Put that joint on and be like, yo, yeah, this is dope. And by the way, this was done by some Christian artists.
Yeah. No, 100. Like yes.
And on your way, on your way to church, on your way to the Bodega, on your way to hoop.
Anything. The whole joint was
I think
a
that's
commute.
what I appreciate about it is it's lifestyle music.
Yes.
And I think that's
absolutely.
It seems like the lifestyle can sometimes be. It's beautiful when more people approach the music from a lifestyle perspective, because I think what it does is it opens people's minds to, yes, like they're the records that make me want to jump up and down and scream and holler at a tour.
100%. There's room for all that.
There's room for that. There are room for those records like Tripoli's Sweet Victory, where they're very worshipful.
Cry when I first heard that.
They're very sentimental like that at 100%. Absolutely. 100%. But there's also, Ben Washer said it on the first episode. He's like, yo, even as believers, we have fun too. We chill, we sit around, we think, and look at the sky and all of that type of stuff. So I feel like a project like this definitely does that. But I want to hear more, Mykael, about some of the people that you brought along. Because, you got Aha Gazelle on the project. You reached back. I knew it was big business when I saw Swoop.
Oof, yeah, bro.
On the joint.
That was a big part of it. Because we had a vision board, and on the vision board, I wanted to have not age old, but like I wanted to have past, past fire OGs, like current people, and then future artists that I believe in, all in the same mix. But the reason why I really wanted to have, there were other people that we wanted to get on that weren't able to get on that are OGs, but on the next one we're gonna get them. For sure. But people like Dre Murray and Swoop, a lot of what Bodega was promotional wise and just the feeling of it that we wanted to really encapsulate came from them. Like We Live as Kings played an extremely huge part in my personal development as an artist, a man, and my listening skills. And then also Dre Murray's what's it called? The joint with the gold. Gold Rush, maybe one day. Yeah. So Gold Rush, that joint, like being transparent, quite literally talked me off a ledge, like literally. And I tell him that every time I see him, I'm like, yo, bro, like I will forever respect you because you may not get it, like, but I'm gonna always give you your flowers because you literally saved my life.
Yeah,
and
shout
always
out.
Be like, dang man.
Shout out Dre Murray. Shout out cats like SO. Shout out Swoop.
SO.
You know what I mean? Cats who, because for a minute it did seem like there was something happening after Swoop had dropped Night, like the Cinema.
Yeah,
or
bro.
the one before, between Cinema and his first, for some reason
I don't have my phone on me. It's over there.
But it seemed like with the sound that he was tapping into, it like opened the door.
Bro, Swoop is on level with like Lupe in our space, bro. Swoop is lit, man.
Yeah,
I will forever say that 2012 into 2016, 2018 was like the golden age.
Era.
Yeah,
bro.
Man,
there were so many fire joints, bro.
And I feel like that'd be a fun one to tap into. We're gonna take a quick break. Hopefully y'all are loving this conversation as much as we are. If you're just joining us, this is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, siriusxm channel 154. My name is Marcus. I'm one of your hosts. I'm here with my good friend
Ace Harris,
and we're joined today by DJ Mykael V. We're gonna jump back into this conversation after a quick break.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, my name is Marcus. I'm one of your hosts. I'm joined with my good friend
Ace Harris,
and this is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, siriusxm channel 154. We're joined in studio by DJ Mykael V, and we've been having amazing conversation about his approach to being a DJ, to being an A&R, to being a curator, a Christian who is from this soil that we call hip-hop. We were just, during our break, we were having a conversation, and I wanted to, because you said something about this, Mykael, I wanted to bring it here. You talked about the difference between trying to be current and trying to be innovative.
Yeah. And
you talked about your conscience as a Christian artist. Do you feel that there's a consequence on either end? Is there a consequence to trying to be innovative? Is there a consequence to trying to keep up with what's current? How do you weigh that out, and how have you weighed that out in your approach?
I think there's consequences on both ends, because if you try to stay current, then you can get lost in the fold, and it can be uninspiring, because it's like, I heard this. Like, it's very easy to switch. And I think with being innovative, it's the same thing, because it's like, I think this is gonna work. I feel passionate about this, and to me, this might be fire. And then it drops, and it's like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or it didn't work now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all about timing too. But with innovation, it's like being innovative hurts, because either it hits and it hits hard, or it doesn't hit at all because people just don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? Or don't have the same love and gusto for what you have love for and can appreciate. You know, it's hard to communicate that sometimes through promotion or stuff like that, to kind of get people on the same page when it comes to doing new sounds or being innovative. Sometimes it gets lost.
Did you feel like there was a risk being like, you know, someone who embodies Christian hip hop and taking that leap of faith to do Bodega? Do you feel like, first of all, do you feel like you guys were innovative, even though it called back to an era that already existed? And was there risk in doing that? Like, speak to what makes it innovative? Because it's like sometimes people can use that word. I think they're pigeonholing what it can mean.
Yes, 100%.
When really, it seems like the innovation is more about it being refreshing in the context of what's coming out. You know what I'm saying? So speak to that a little bit.
So I don't, when I say innovative about Bodega, I don't mean that we created boom bap. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean by innovation. We did not create boom bap. I'm not trying to get that twisted. But I think when I say innovation, I mean like nobody was doing this sound at a high level at the time that we dropped, in the sense of in the context of like the space, like, and what the sounds were, the soundscapes, the production. Nobody was like doing this heavy. So I was like, yo, let's lean into it. And if I'm being real, this is not me being fake humble or whatever. I didn't think it was gonna, like, not that it wouldn't work, but I didn't think it was gonna get the love it got, because it was such a niche. Like, boom bap is such a niche, but a lot of people were like, yo, I don't listen to boom bap and I like this. And I'm like, dang, I didn't expect that. Like, I think the reason in the creation of it, like, was so pure, because it was like, we weren't doing it for a result. We were doing it just to have fun. Like, we were literally like having mad fun, like just going back and forth about ideas, soundscapes, what can we do, what's going to be the in-betweens, how can we bring people into the fold, because the goal was to make it feel like a world and people were walking into something. You know what I'm saying? More than just, hey, I made music, listen to it. It's like, yo, can I bring you into this and enjoy this with me and us, and you can come back and leave this world whenever you want. Like, this will always be here.
Okay.
You know
I think that's what I loved about it, Mykael, and I would say what I love about hip hop is when it's the fun and the innovation of it,
because you can hear it in the music, because
it did feel that way, where it felt like a celebration. It felt like, yo, like I was, driving, going to go pick up dinner for my family, and I was like, yo, let me run this mug real quick. Let me hit the bro, like, yo, you did this mug, man. And so, you know, shout out. I totally understand the risk, and one of my mentors says this often: be skeptical of a high success rate in innovation.
Yeah.
And I had to sit back with that, and I was like, if you're truly innovating, there's going to be some failure. Yeah. Because that's a part of a part of it. That's a part of innovating. It's failing and learning. And if you're not failing, you may be succeeding. Yeah. But I don't know if you can say that you're innovating if there's no failure in the process.
That's dope, man. It's so dope. And I have a question for you, man. Like, where should Christians, right, specifically artists, as they're creating and they're feeling that risk to kind of follow, like, are Christian artists tasked with the duty to innovate, or are we expected to just be current? Like, what?
I think
do we have a responsibility? Is culture looking at us, or do we need to just speak into culture and lead out? Like, what is it?
You answered it right there. I think we need to speak into culture and lead it, but I think we're not doing that.
Okay.
I don't think it's happening. I think we're trying.
Say more about that.
I think we're trying. Like it's not like it's not being done at all.
Right.
People are trying. It's
Right.
just not. It's not hitting. But I think we're right there. Like people like RG and Few and Wande and like 350 and all these people. Like I feel like everybody is getting to a creative like place. In the sense of like, yo, they're gonna like you know how like when NBA rookies come in and it's not till like their 4th or 5th year where it's like they're averaging like 26, 27.
Yeah.
People are approaching their 5th and 6th year. I'm like, oh,
Hey.
they about to start cooking.
Funny thing about that, actually, Bill Simmons talked about this on his podcast. He actually said it's not till the 7th year.
Wow.
He said when people come into the league, no one who's great in the game actually started to accomplish anything until their 7th year. It's like if you go back and look at it, he was making the case for what's my man name in Boston?
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum. He said we're
Oh, that's a good
Him
example.
becoming-
Great
witnessing Jason Tatum
His elevation.
become it, and and it feels like it's been a minute because he's 7 years in, but it's like that's when it happens.
Yeah.
To bring it back to this conversation, I feel like it kind of sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
About some of your peers, the RGs, the Wandays, the
even you.
350s,
Cause you see
the John Keys.
glimpses of it. You're like, yo, like, bro, like Raul, fire. Like fire project.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And even his most recent one, New
New
Hollywood,
Hollywood.
it's like, okay, we ramping up. Like it's the roller coaster going up.
Right.
And there's glimpses of things where I'm like, yo,
Right.
you're gonna hit the ball on the sweet spot of the bat and you're gonna knock it out the park. Not that he hasn't, because he has, but I'm saying like you're growing more, you're becoming more developed, more wise, more mature, all these different things. You're listening to more different soundscapes. I'm like, bro,
But
you're gonna
I
get
have a question.
one.
I
Because
love
I mean, this sounds very idealistic, but we live in a fast-paced, 24/7 news cycle. We're inundated with so much content. Even as in the faith, you're trying to filter all this stuff. How can you, as like a curator, DJ, speak to the fans, the listeners? What do they need to be mindful of or patient to allow this growth to happen? Because I wonder if sometimes we desire this development that we
Yeah.
want to see happen,
100%.
but the market, the fan, it seems like it's just so much. Like, what can you do to help them speak into like being patient about that?
So for fans specifically, I would say if you really like an artist, like if somebody's like a fan, you're gonna be patient. There's like because for like I remember when I first heard Drake when I was in middle school, I was a fan, and then he grew into what he is now. He's amazing. The guy's
Right.
great. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with J. Cole. Same thing with like Lil Wayne. Like I didn't come up on Lil Wayne like that, but as I did with Drake. But growing up, I'm like, oh, Lil Wayne started when he was like 16.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan, you can't compare. Even though it's fire, you can't compare his music he made on his first album to the Carter 3.
Nah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, like,
Man, you talking
it's
about
still good. It's still good.
wobbledy-wop
It's
to
still good.
Real G's move in silence.
You know what I'm saying?
lasagna. There's some growth
Yo,
in them bars.
he can rap, bro. That guy's a
I feel you.
rapper.
Yeah.
But
so,
I also think for artists, if I'm being real, I think the way to combat the fast-paced life we live in,
yeah.
I think it's just to be opposed to it. So what I mean by that,
Okay.
hear me out.
Okay.
What I mean by that is,
you have my
is
ear.
that this might be unorthodox, but the fans don't control me. So what I'm saying is they support me, and I bro, thank you for listening. Thank you for all these things, and I appreciate you. But I'm not indebted to you.
Uh-oh.
So what I mean by that is that because people are already like, yo, Bodega 2. I'm like, yo, we just dropped Bodega 1 and a deluxe. Yo, chew on that for like a year, almost 2. Chew on that for like 2 years, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is like, if it's good music, it'll last. And people will love to go back to it. But when you make music in an incubator and you're like, bah, 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 sometimes it's only good for the time, and rarely do people go back to it. I'm like, I would rather take my time in making something really, really good that I feel like I'm proud of and that people will go back to than trying to keep up with other people and just being like, da, 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 da. Something's going to hit. Like, if you put up 80 shots, like 60 going to hit. And it's like, nah, I'd rather take 5 shots and make 4. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's tomato. But for me, that's for me. I'm very much like, yo, Bodega 1, Bodega Deluxe, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm going to keep promoting it. I'm going to keep banging it. I'm going to keep putting it out there. You're not getting 2 for like a year. 2, maybe even 2. I'm going to let y'all rock. Like, because the thing is it causes an emotion of desire. And, man, I want more. So when it comes to, like, wrestling, I'll use wrestling terms. So wrestling, it's like you got to take the candy from the baby. So what that means is, like, you, like, dangle it in front of them, like, oh, yo, you like this? Yeah, this is cool. You give them a piece. It's like, oh, wow, this is really good. I have another one? You're like, yeah, you can have another one. No, you can have another one. It's like the expectation of, like, we're going to get, oh, like, it doesn't leave them as sad as you think it would. It's like, oh, I'm desiring more. I like now that desire that I wanted more when you dangled the candy in front of my face, and now you took it away. I desire it even more because now it's like I don't have it and I want it. So it's like you kind of cause the reaction of like navigating your fans and leading them, like kind of like taming them and being like, yo, I love you. I'm going to give you music, but I'm not indebted to you. And, oh, you want the music? Okay, I got you. Every 6, 7, 8 months. Like, nah, bro. If you want something fire, I'm gonna give you something fire. And if you're a fan of me, you'll trust me and you'll let me take my time and I'll do what I gotta do. If you're a passive fan and you just want to hear it, then I'm not catering to you. I'm not catering to you because you're a passive fan. Hey, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Like I passively listen to like 21. I'm not a 21 fan. I'm not like, oh my God, 21, where's your next thing? No, yeah, you got some cool joints. I rock with you. But if, for example, J. Cole dropped his last album, like last year, and he's like, oh, I got one more and I'm done. And I'm like, I'm waiting for it, and I'm going to love it because I waited for it. As opposed to, who's the next person that's going to drop? Like, oh, the 8th Yeet album of the month just dropped. I'm listening to that. Come on, bro.
Hey, it's what Mykael spitting. He
got the microphones.
What's your reaction over there?
No, I mean, I'm gonna let that sit and say that there is room. This is specifically, I know we have a lot of people that tune in that are like aspiring artists, Christian hip hop people, people that want to be in this space. So we sometimes give a lot of nuggets and look, context. We don't know exactly everything we're doing. I'm gonna keep it a buck. We are executives with quote unquote accolades and platform, and we're learning every day. So I just want to caution and frame our advice with this is what we believe is the right way to do it for this context. But so don't. The expert has freckles, has some fracks in the advice. But I will say there is a little bit of room for different perspectives and
100%.
Different types of content, different types of art.
There's no right way to do it.
And I think that's the beauty of him freeing up some artists out there that's looking at the other ways people are having success, that are kind of embracing the social media era, the climate, people like a Caleb, and they're like, man, I think I gotta do that. There's room to find your lane and run.
Well, I want to call back to what you said on this is that with Bodega, you said you felt like you found yourself.
100%.
And I think that's very key to being successful is you have to find yourself and you have to find what works for you. We had this conversation last week where we were talking about how to succeed in the social media wave. If you want to play the social media game, there's a way to play that. And we got a little bit of flag for that. But I want to round out when we're giving advice and things. It's about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
And Mykael, I want to close this out and ask. So if you are gonna make people wait a year and some change, maybe 2 years for Bodega, what can people find you doing in the meantime?
Oh, I'll be dropping like singles and stuff. I think now that the difficult part is, I was talking about this with the guys in Indie Tribe. I was like, man, where do I go from here? Like, because the narrative was so powerful, Bodega, the music was so great. The music is great, and I'm just like, do I stay in the boom bap vibe, like, or do I only make that exclusively for Bodega, and do I go somewhere else in the meantime? Do I kind of stay there? Does it get stale? And to be real with you, I don't know, but I'm comfortable in the unknown right now, in the sense of where am I gonna go sonically. But I'm definitely gonna try to drop music, and if I don't, I'll do music videos for the project, because I still want to, like I said, if I'm gonna wait the in betweens, I'm gonna put out new videos. I'm gonna keep on making people go back to it in some way, shape, or form. It's just what the in between is. I'm definitely gonna try to drop music. I'm not gonna not drop music. I think it's just more so really finding where to go from here, because it's such a good place. And it's like, do I want to hurry up and move on, or do I want to stay here, or do I want to put a pin in it, do something else, come back? It's just really, we're just trying to figure it out, and try to see where we feel like it's the right thing, because we definitely got some Indie Tribe stuff coming. So I'm just like lit, like that'll kind of fill up my calendar a little bit.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like my personal music, I'm just like, all right, like I need to kind of figure it out, because I really do feel like I found myself. Like I'm gonna go back to basketball. I feel like I found myself and I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. So I feel like a Jamal Crawford. I'm like, yo, I'm cool coming off the bench and dropping 25 or whatever, or 18. I'm cool with that, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But when Jamal Crawford tries to be a starter, he gonna drop buckets, but he's out of his element, and he's not gonna be as consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool with being a Lou Will. I'm cool with just this is you brought me on here for this. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do it to the highest point I can. I don't want to try to be a star player. I know I'm not a star player. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
That's amazing.
I love that. Mykael, as we sign off, why don't you tell the people, this may be a lot of people's first time hearing about you, hearing
100%.
from you. So why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
Bro,
online?
on everything, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch is at DJ Mykael V, Mykael, and the letter V.
Awesome.
Everywhere, bro.
Awesome.
I'm all over the place.
Well, we've loved having you here, Ace. I really feel like there's going to have to be a part 2 to this conversation. So many sports, hip-hop analogies, things that we're going to have to revisit at some time. So if you just tuned in, we're going to catch you next week, because it's the end of this show. My name is Marcus. I'm one of your hosts. I'm here with my good friend
Ace Harris.
This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, siriusxm channel 154. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Keep it locked.